call this July 29th, 2024 Almont Board of Education meeting to order at 7 p.m. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Walton, could you do roll call, please?
Ms. Frederick. Here. Mr. St. Anne.
Here.
Mr. Rote, absent. Mr. Catani, absent. Mr. Wade.
Here.
Mr. Walton here. Ms. Smith.
Here.
5 members.
Any adoptions of the agenda?
No.
None? This one.
Up with communications, we have our STEAM update with Mr. Bruno from Orchard Primary. Thank you for being here, Mr. Bruno.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Can y'all hear me all right?
Yeah.
All right. So for those of you who don't know, my name is Adam Bruno. I am the principal at Orchard Primary, like Ms. von Hiltmeyer just said. So I'm going to give a quick update on our STEAM progress at Orchard Primary. We talked about this a couple months ago, so I wanted to make sure I kept everybody in the loop, as I think we're doing some great stuff and have some awesome plans for the upcoming year. So it's kind of just a quick overview of where we're going to talk about, as well as give the opportunity for our board to ask any questions. And I'd love to just make sure we're on the same page and share our vision together. So one of the great things we've been doing this year, if you don't know, Miss Kim Tencha, she's been doing some really amazing things in her art tech class around STEAM. She's been taking time every couple of weeks to do some STEAM specific activities. We got some cool pictures up there. She's been using resources we have from the STEAM Accelerator, which we were able to purchase using some L&L grant funds, as well as just some additional resources she's gotten by going to things like the McCall Conference, as well as just general research she does. As everybody here knows, our teachers work incredibly hard to go out and find additional things. Speaking of the STEAM Accelerator, a couple of our teachers dove right in and we got them set up to use that this year. On the left, there's a couple of pictures of Mr. McAllister, our music teacher. He did a really cool lesson that I got to watch. If you know the Vivaldi's Four Seasons, he combined some music and some art there, some music and some science there. They listened to Vivaldi's Four Seasons. They talked about the different sounds of the seasons they heard, and he kind of scaffolded it based off the grades. And then also on the right, you have Mrs. Davis's. They were talking about what equal means in math, and then they were also drawing things that were equal together and putting shapes together. It was really cool to see our teachers just dive right into using the STEAM Accelerator and that great resources that we're able to have. Apparently the sound works. I will skip through it in the name of time. Okay, beyond that, we've also just seen some really great examples of day-to-day STEAM being integrated into our classroom, which has given our kids just some additional really awesome opportunities. Mrs. Mihelich in first grade, she has what she calls STEAM carts. And when they have opportunities during the day, she'll pull them out. It's not every day, it's not every week, but when they have great opportunities, they pull those out. She gives them a problem. On this particular day, I was able to go in and I think they were designing bridges, and she just had all kinds of different things. So some kids were building them with strings and cardboard, other kids were using pipe cleaners. It was really cool to see the kids just dive in and apply their math and their science. And I think ways beyond that they really understood in first grade, but it's the kind of thing that just goes so far in our understanding. The other one I want to highlight, and these are just only a couple examples of additional things our teachers have been doing. Mrs. Kleckner in second grade, they took advantage of the outdoor classroom that we have over in the orchard. And they went outside and they were measuring things in nature and also using nature. So they would use like a stick or something, and how many sticks did something else equal, just to get that understanding of how measurement works, while also taking advantage of a really cool outdoor opportunity that we have in the outdoor classroom. So that's where we were this year, really kind of setting that new foundation. As many of you know, I've been here since February, so we were just setting that foundation from February on to the end of the year. As we head into 24, 25, my goal is for us to really approach STEAM in 3 prongs, thinking about how we can further integrate it in art tech, really work on different ways to integrate it in general education. And then we have, if you don't know, the Watchdog program with amazing dads coming into our schools and finding ways for those watchdogs to really help support us with the STEAM. What a great way to combine community and a really great learning opportunity. So in art tech, as a quick overview, in October, the plan right now is for our 3rd graders to work on designing and creating mini golf courses, using some of those math skills as well as some of those engineering skills. And then our hope is to have some of the younger grades come in and get the opportunity to see where they'll get to go as third graders, give those third graders a chance to share and younger kids a chance to look up what they're going to. And during that month, also giving our younger grades the opportunity to spend that month really exploring a STEAM topic. Again, we want to give our kids increased opportunities while also maintaining the integrity of that K-12 art program. We know how great our art shows always are, and also that just general experience to tech. And then in May, we'd really like in that art tech class to really focus on STEAM and integrating it into science. As we look at STEAM, it's that science, technology, engineering, art, and math. One of those key things is taking a topic and adding a second letter to that. So really focusing on using May as a chance to take what's going on in the general education classroom and adding it into art tech. Speaking of STEAM integration in our general education classroom, as anybody knows who's had a student come through Orchard Primary, we have some of the best teachers, not just in Michigan, but probably in all of America there, and they do an amazing job. And so one of the things that help them take their teaching to that next level is our goal is going to be to implement 2 STEAM lessons per month into what they're already doing in their classroom. So we'll spend some time during our professional development days before the start of the year looking at, okay, if I'm doing a really cool science lesson, how do I add the T for technology or the E for engineering or the M for math into there? Or math, can we add a T for technology? Can we add another component of that to make what's already a great lesson into a STEAM lesson? Because we know giving kids those hands-on opportunities just really opens up their eyes and gives them even greater opportunities to learn. And we really want to focus it around what's called the STEAM framework. The STEAM accelerator that we were able to use again with the L&L grant gives us the opportunity, or gives us some resources to really focus on that framework to go from just general learning into a STEAM focused lesson. And then finally, for those of you who are coming in as watchdogs, we love having our dads there. We want to give our dads the opportunities not just to be amazing at recess. I know the kids, especially our boys, love seeing our watchdogs out there playing football and things. We're not taking that away. Don't worry, dads. But we want to have them start spending 20-minute blocks in the library working on STEAM projects with different groups of kids, just quick 20-minute hits of like, hey, we have these cool STEAM resources. Can we build a bridge out of something? Can we? We're going to put together some different resources for them so our dads can work with different groups of kids, give them that opportunity to not only be a social part of the kids, but also give them the opportunity to do some academic enrichment. And for our kids, what a great opportunity to just get some additional STEAM experience. And we're going to try to line that up with times in our students' learning so that way they are not missing core instruction time as well, because we love our STEAM. We think it's super valuable and very important, but we also want to make sure in the interest of giving our kids extra opportunities, we're not taking away that core learning. So that's our plan for the 24-25 year. And so the way I've kind of visualized this is 23-24, we set a foundation for our STEAM program at Orchard Primary. Again, I can't change anything that happened before I got there. I can only, move us forward here. And I think we set a great foundation this spring. This upcoming year, we're looking to take some big steps in taking STEAM forward. And then for the 25-26 year and beyond, we have some ideas of ways we can take it further, but I think in order for us to go further, we'll need to look at some additional investment in different resources, whether that be looking at grants, whether that be looking at district-based funding. So just some ideas that I'd love to share, and then I really would love to hear the board's vision or anybody in the community's thoughts on where we can go. One of the things we'd love to be able to do is bring back things like the outdoor garden. I heard that was a really cool thing in years past. What a great way for, I personally love gardening. I think it's an amazing way to spend your summer, but what a great way for kids to get into gardening, but also a great way to explore different STEAM concepts, get our kids further into the outdoor classroom. One of the things we've noticed in the name of student safety is with only having Ms. Tensha as the art tech teacher or their general education teacher out there, is if a kid needs to come into the bathroom or something, then we either have to bring the whole class in or that kid has to wait. And we do, as always, want to focus student safety first. So having some additional, support and additional folks out there would help us be able to do things like that. Also, just general investments, whether it be in a STEAM special or in our art tech class, doing things like getting some Lego robots, which expose kids to coding at a young age, which is a really awesome, important part of STEAM, which also is just really fun. And then just finding ways to get bigger STEAM projects in on a regular basis in the years going on. Again, this upcoming year, it's a big step forward for us, but we don't want to bite off more than we can chew in this first year. We want to focus on quality over quantity as we head into this next year. I think a dream of all of ours in the future at OP would be to have a STEAM teacher to add to our current 3 specials. I would say maybe a dean of students and then a STEAM teacher would be, if we were ranking our things, we love a STEAM teacher. But that would just give us amazing opportunities for our kiddos to go that next step, get us out in the outdoor classroom more, so that teacher could pair with Ms. Tensha. We could do some really cross-curricular things, give our kids just a guaranteed weekly STEAM activity, which would be amazing. which, on the bond, there's that opportunity for maybe a STEM classroom. And then just having that person would also give us another resource to align our STEAM program to our general education class. I think our teachers are very interested in doing this. Our students love the STEAM opportunities they have. And these are just, I think we're really excited to put some next steps down and also to look forward. But in the name of transparency, I'd also just love to be able to work with the board, make sure my vision is aligning closely with the boards. As stewards of the community together, we want to make sure we're really aligned. So I just put a couple of general questions, but if there are thoughts from the board, I would want to make sure we're following that. And thank you again for having me. Really appreciate it.
Mr. Bruno, thank you so much for being here. So we'll take some questions if the board has some questions. This is a great time to have some open communication with Mr. Bruno.
Adam, would you like to see further outdoor classrooms? Are there areas that you think could be developed?
Like, to clarify, do you mean like an additional classroom or just like?
So we have, if one classroom is out there, we have a second area for.
I think in the long term, I think that would be amazing. I think in the interest of, taking baby steps to make sure we do right first, I would love to give us that opportunity to, before the board, as, and we want to make sure we take care of our finances. I think let's do a really great job of using the one we have and then give us a year or two. And then I think I would love to do that in future years. But I know we've also got some other big projects on, capital projects as well. Thank you, Mr. Wade.
Mr. Bruno, with regard to the, I don't know, what do we call it, the pavilion that's out there in the outdoor classroom? Is there anything that's done as far as scheduling it or keeping track of how much it's getting used?
That's a great question, Mr. Wall. And at this point, we didn't do a great job of keeping track of it this year. I think that's something we need to make sure we're doing a good job to make sure we are using the resources we already have. I know in addition to Ms. Kleckner's class that was out there doing that project, Ms. Ruhala's class used it during the solar eclipse. They went out and got, somebody donated those glasses and they were able to go out there and use that. I know Mrs. Toner used it for something with her MOSI room, but beyond that, I don't think we've done a great job of keeping track. So that's something we can make sure we have logs for. And it's also another great safety opportunity too, so we know where we have that written record of where everybody is at all times.
Yeah, and that may carry over to the middle school as well, right, Ms. Vaughn? So with it being in that combined space, there could be some opportunities where the middle school classes are using that as well.
Absolutely.
So I just think about it from my own perspective from work, like we have to do some things scheduling wise. And you don't want to, run up on an area that somebody's already right in the middle of and then you're disrupted. So just some thoughts. And then I guess my other question is just, is there anything in the short term that you need?
Oh man, that's a great question. Mrs. Tension, I met earlier in the summer to think through just some specific things. I think the Lego robotics was one thing that that would be a cool thing for our kids to have because it gives them the opportunity to not only the code, because there's cool coding games kids can do online, but it's a whole nother level of cool for a kid. And what a great way to spark a lifelong interest in like computer coding by getting to code something and watching a little robot like walk around. So I think that would be just as an initial next step, something really cool. Thank you, Mr. Walton.
Mr. Bruno, I think the mini golf sounds really interesting. I'm excited to see that. You think that's something that the students will be able to partake in if they can design and the kids can? I'm thinking field day, for example.
I didn't even thought I had to field it, Mr. St. Ange. I love that. I think it's going to be a great opportunity in October to see how well our third graders design that. Our plan is to really give them a month long, and Mrs. Tensha got some ideas from a STEAM teacher she met through McCall. And I think our third graders, given the opportunity to spend, 2 times a week for a month, will be able to do a good job. And then I think our third graders also have some really great leadership. I think all of you who have kids in our district know how amazing our kids are and know that they'll be able to showcase that and share those other kids. I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect. There'll be some hiccups along the way and we have some sad faces if things get broken, but I think we could do that. And if it goes well in October, I'd love to see something like that added to a field day.
Sure. And then one of my kids is in robotics, and I'm wondering if maybe a field trip of sorts so that the younger kids can see what the kids in the high school are doing with robotics, just kind of see, hey, this is what it might lead to. Yeah. Yeah,
I love that. I think it's a great opportunity for us to start collaborating right out of the gate. Give our high schoolers some leadership and our younger kids something to look up to. Sure. St. Ange, I appreciate that. I love that.
Thank you.
Ms. Pratt, anything?
No.
Where else would you rather be? It's a beautiful day.
I'm excited. Like I'm a huge proponent of STEAM, and so I'm really very, very excited to see all of this starting to come to fruition. And I'm excited to see next year, and just like Mr. Walton said, maybe next year really some data, like how much the outdoor classroom is used, and just so that we can maybe look to expand and grow. And if we have that data, that helps us make really good decisions. So thank you for all this effort that you're putting into it. I'm very excited for our district.
Absolutely. Thank you, Ms. Smith. We'll come back in about a year and hopefully share some really great data and some great opportunities. Well, our goal is also to really share out some of those cool things that we're seeing, make sure we get those to families that not just at OP, but also throughout the district. So we appreciate the opportunities given to us.
Thank you, Mr. Bruno.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a great night.
For being here. Enjoy what's left of your summer. We'll see you on Monday, next Monday.
At this time, that brings us to questions and comments from the audience. These are 2 items that are pertaining to the agenda only. If you would like to be recognized, please come up to the podium and state your name. There is 3 minutes, and we do have a timer.
I'll be brief. I'd like to talk or ask a question, but I know you don't answer the questions, but I saw something on the agenda tonight under finance, the sinking fund contractor proposal, and not real sure what that is, but there is a rumor going around the community that you want to contract out all of our sinking fund money, which, and do it that way. I'm not sure that that's really what the community had in mind when they voted for that sinking fund. Is there to do the repairs and things like that we can do under the rules. I mean, we have a very talented maintenance supervisor, and I'm sure that he can handle that money just as well. There's lots of things on that list that are not huge amounts of money and can make a lot of improvements to the building. So I would urge you, if that's what it is, I would urge you not to hire a contractor to spend that money, because if we've got $1 million and you have to pay $250,000 to get that, you're only getting $750,000 worth of goods, and I don't think that's the way to spend our money. So thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else?
I would just like to reiterate what Mr. Bowman had said. I, too, have heard the rumor, in fact, heard it from a couple of staff members. Was very disappointed, to be honest, that some of that sinking fund money could possibly be used now for a project manager. We have a very talented maintenance person that could easily handle a lot of that. And from what I've been told in the past is that he has wanted to do some projects and been told, no, let's wait because that's in the bond. It doesn't make sense to me to keep hanging on to this money. We've had it for 10 years. It should have been spent by now. Some of these repairs should have been done by now. And then I also heard, and I'm working on the same information as Mr. Bowman, what has been said in town. I've also heard about the possible person that it could be that would be in charge of these projects now. And it seems to me that it would be some kind of a conflict of interest, I guess. If you have someone from the company that may be adding on building or adding on classrooms, who's now possibly going to be a project manager for the sinking fund. You can do a lot of money with the money that's going to be given to a project manager. And that's not what the community had in mind when they voted it in several years ago. I think it's very irresponsible.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? There will be another opportunity after the meeting too, or at the end of the meeting. Okay. Consent agenda.
Ms. Smith,
Mr. Walton,
I move the Board of Education approve the consent agenda, including A, approval of the closed session minutes from June 19th, 2024. B, approval of closed session minutes from June 24th, 2024. C, The approval of the minutes from the regular meeting, June 24th, 2024. Approval of the minutes from the work session, July 16, 2024.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Approval of invoices.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Ray.
I move the Board of Education approve the bills payable and the financial reports as proposed by administration and reviewed by the Finance Committee as follows. June 15th, 2024 to July 11th, 2024, general fund total, $345,933.87. School lunch fund, $70,139.08. Student activity fund, $60,639.83. 2014 sinking fund, 0. 2013 refunding bonds, 0. 2016 refunding bonds, 0. 2021 Series A refunding bonds, $88.47. 2021 Series B refunding bonds, 0. Subtotal, $476,801.25. ACH wire transactions, payroll, June 14th, ORS payment, 628 payment, $755,279.99. Edu staff, $24.70. Health equity, HSA, $27,697.71. Credit card, BMO, $9,153.63. Health insurance, $109,211.78. 2013 refunding bonds, $0. 2016 refunding bonds, $0. 2021 Series A refunding bonds, $0. 2021 Series B refunding bonds, $0. State aid note payments for May, $300,000.00. QZAB Energy, $0. Arbiter pay, $0. ProCare fees, $0. Meal Magic fees, $0. Total funds spent, $1,678,169.06. Check numbers and voided checks as listed below.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Please make note of acknowledgement of the Orchard Primary, Middle School, High School, and Athletic Student Activity Account Report. And that's fun, new business. Okay.
Mrs. Smith,
Oh, sorry.
in regard to that, Ms. Bond, I know that we have discussed the athletic fund, and the soccer and the basketball, our soccer and basketball currently.
Yeah, and Kathy, I'll have you speak to that if you can.
Yes, there was some deposits made, and so now all the balances are in the positive, except for boys soccer is negative $36, and we're working to reconcile that with the coach and get that rectified.
Excellent, thank you. Thank you so much for working so hard on that, I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rod. Okay, under my report, I'm actually going to turn it over. I have Jason Frederick here today to talk about a tennis court update. I want to make sure that we're staying on top of that one. So thank you, Jason, for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's kind of tough following Mr. Bruno. Working in collaboration with Coach Martin, he had already did some legwork in regards to trying to fill the 2,400 linear feet approximately of cracks that we have in the tennis court. Some of the findings that he came back with were fees of $18,000 and $25,000 for the different types of crack filling, to which we were told would only last a season. So in this case, as we're rolling into fall, we would not have that repair ready for any sort of springtime. So it would have best been done in the spring to get a season. So we had some representatives from L&L Products that had offered to come out. They had a product that they wanted to try in the cracks. They were going to donate if it worked. They did a sampling and it did not. It didn't have the elasticity and because of the sheer depth of some of those cracks, that wouldn't work. So we turned to some do-it-yourself type things that you could get online. And of course, like I said, 2,400 feet of cracks, we were looking at anywhere from $5,000 to $6,000 just to purchase the materials. And then from there, it would take a pretty large volunteer staff, which Coach Martin and Coach Frederick had, that we were going to put to task to that. So continue to reach out to some companies to see just what we could do, that we could, steward any monies that we put towards it. Anybody that's been out there, the tennis courts are in really rough shape. They really are. So we're trying to do the best we can with what we've got. Of the companies that we did have come out, one of the recommendations that I'm going to make is that we would have the ability to use an MDOT commercial rubber crack filler. And that price is reasonable, $8,500 compared to $18,000 or $25,000. It would take the labor aspect out, which, we're trying to meet that deadline of August 12th. Take out a couple rain days along the way. That really shortens that time. So at this time, I would move to pursue that, to look at going that route. Any repairs that we do in the future, this would not get in the way. If we were going to do something, we could just rip it out and do something different, or, hopefully in 8 days when the bond passes, it would not get in the way of what we're going to do there as well. So it would be a local company. I believe their children are Almont students. So we would be, essentially feeding the community as well by offering that up.
All right, so we'll be in touch here.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you so
You're
much for
welcome.
being here. Thank you for that update. And we'll move on that. Okay. Additional updates here on July 30th. So tomorrow at 9 a.m., offering a visit with Bond for the Bond. So at Maria's Restaurant here in town, if our community is available, if you can, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, stop by. If you have any questions about the bond, I will be available for those questions. Again, we're just as Jason has just said, we are 8 days away from our election day here. So if you're available, please come. Definitely get a good breakfast, a coffee. I'd love to, chat with you. So if you're available, please plan to attend. On that note for bond, a bond flyer has been shared on Facebook and also with our parent community regarding the bond. So if you had any questions or you weren't sure what was in Proposal 1, Proposal 2, just a quick summary breakdown of that for you. But again, if you have specific questions, if you're looking for something specific, in the bond itself, please reach out. I'm really encouraging our community to reach out to ask those questions. And I also wanted to share, I know that it's August 1st, right, this week already. I can't believe it. We're kind of in that countdown mode here to getting school back on for the 24-25 school year. So just some quick shout out dates. My lovely assistant here to my right will be posting these on Facebook and on our website. The building principals will be sending out communications and memos, but just a little heads up for events coming up. Orchard Primary, parents out there, board, we're going to be sending out the teacher assignments. They're going to be emailed to families the week of August 19th. We have Popsicle Pop-In and our curriculum night on August 21st and August 22nd, and those grade levels are separated out. So we have young fives in kindergarten and second grade on August 21st from 5:30 to 6:35. And on August 22nd, we have first and third graders, 5:30 to 6:35. September 6th is Picture Day. Again, that's all Orchard Primary, and this will all be shared with you in written communication and posted. Almont Middle School, we have fourth grade Popsicle Pop-In from 2:30 to 3:30 on August 22nd. Again, that's for fourth grade. For August 27th and August 28th, we have curriculum nights at the middle school from 6 to 8 p.m. We have Picture Day on September 5th at the middle school. For the high school, band camp shout out is underway at the high school this week. We have fall sports and clubs already practicing and taking place here. August 19th, we have Picture Day and schedule pickup for 10th, 11th, and 12th graders. And that's in the cafeteria from 8:30 to 2 p.m. Again, that's on August 19th. There's also going to be an 8th grade parent and student orientation from 6 to 8 p.m. And on August 20th, we have Picture Day schedule pickup for 8th and 9th grade Picture Day in the cafeteria from 8:30 to 2 p.m. And we have a 9th grade parent and student orientation as well from 6 to 8 p.m. And that date is to be announced because we might have a little conflict. So again, all of this will be shared with you, parents and community members, board members. Just wanted to kind of give you a shout out that, yes, all of this is on our radar. And we know that everyone's getting excited for the 24-25 school year. So I just wanted to do a quick shout out on that. So thank you.
On the finance.
Finance. Okay. The Board of Education awards bids to contract for any services exceeding the amount allowable by policy, policy 6320. The school district often borrows against its anticipated state aid in order to meet the financial obligations early in the school year. This is necessary due to the manner in which our state aid payments are received. This year, the district opted to use the state aid note method of borrowing the necessary funds. Under the revised Municipal Finance Act, the resolution authorizing issuance of the note and awarding are accomplished at the same time. Within 15 business days of completing the issuance of the note, a filing with Treasury must be made. Requests for bids were sent to 7 lending institutions, 4 responded. Bids were due July 16, 2024 at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The district's legal counsel provided an authorizing issuance and awarding resolution attached, which outlines the bid process, outlines our acceptance process, authorizes the administrator of finance to establish up to $1,300,000 state aid note, and authorizes our borrowing with state aid note in conformance with the school code, with reports of borrowing to be made to the Department of Treasury. By approving the resolution, the board pledges that state aid funds received will be used for payment on the state aid note. State aid note will allow the district to meet its financial obligations.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade.
I move the Board of Education approve the authorizing and awarding resolution, which approves the establishment of a state aid note up to the amount of $1,300,000.00 with either the state of Michigan or the financial institute with the interest rate that provides the lowest cost in borrowing.
Support?
Motion and support. Is there any discussion?
Mrs. Smith. Just for clarification, choice 1, which is it's a better rate than we had last year. Not as good as we had a few years ago, but it is better rate. One of the things that I would like to look or set up a practice, if we can start figuring out where we are at the end of each year, and then as you go into the school year, as we do this process, knowing what we need come fall, so we can go in and say, look at it a little more critically, saying we need to borrow this amount of money instead of 1.3 could have been 1.2, so we're not having those interest payments on it. If we could have that somewhat into the process, it will help.
Okay.
Mr. Wade, there is a cash flow project that was done, and it speaks to exactly the process you're talking about. So it does look into the future, and it does demonstrate the dip that we have specifically in September, October. So that has been done. I'd like to see if I can share it.
Yes.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Moving on to the Lights Consortium Agreement. A little bit of background, just a shout out, thank you to Mr. Zott for providing additional information. I can count on him for a 2-page fact sheet for you. The Almont Community Schools, in conjunction with the Lapeer ISD and the other local Lapeer County schools, has operated a fiber network since 1995. The fiber network has been used for educational and administrative technology purposes by the school districts in Lapeer County, the Lapeer ISD, and various other governmental and educational entities in Lapeer County. The ISD has served as the owner, operator, and fiscal agent of the network, which over time has grown significantly in size, operating capacity, and purpose. The Lights Fiber Network has been in operation since 1995. The Lights Agreement, serving as the guiding document for the network, has also been in place since 1995. The Lights Network has developed significantly since its inception. Example of the size, the miles of fiber, number of entities using the network, its operating capacity, expanded in purpose, and most certainly the amount of reliance on the network for member district operations. We did ask legal counsel from Clark Hill to review the document and to make recommendations regarding changes and/or clarifications that needed to be made. Mr. Joseph Colian from Clark Hill served as a primary person for the work. Mr. Colian has over 30 years of experience with public sector law and counsels public and private clients in connection with complex public infrastructure projects, including financing, transactional, real estate, regulatory compliance, and governance. As a result of the review, a new lights agreement attached was completed. In addition to reaffirming the agreement, participants, members, the new agreement outlines that the members desire to update and revise the 1995 agreement, continue the operation as well as the expansion and enhancements of lights, continue to operate as a consortium, mutually agree to oversee and set policy as consortium in connection with the fiber optic educational telecommunication system known as Lights, and reaffirm that the Lapeer County ISD shall serve as the operating and fiscal agent of Lights. Key aspects of the agreement include term of the agreement, 10 years with additional 10-year renewals upon review. New member can be added with unanimous approval of members, $300,000 cost. Governing board made up of the superintendents of the participating districts, responsibilities outlined in Article 4. Responsible for overall management of lights, determine services, determine budget and any member costs, make decisions regarding any expansion of lights, approval of new members. Member responsibilities outlined in Article 5 pledges its cooperation and assistance to the development, expansion, and utilization of lights, utilize equipment which is compatible with the equipment standards and specifications established for lights. Each member agrees to enter into long-term agreements if necessary for whatever rights of way, licenses, or easements are useful or necessary for the continued development and operation of the system. Each member will continue to own all cable, equipment, and/or facilities constructed and operated on its side of the relevant demarcation point, which compromises that members own service centers network. Each member shall obtain and maintain for the duration of the member's participation under this agreement property, casualty, and liability insurance or self-insurance for the member's infrastructure on the member's side of the demarcation point that is used as part of the lights. Termination, if any members elect not to renew or continue under this agreement and terminate their participation in the consortium, such members shall provide written notice not less than 12 months prior to the expiration of the initial term or during a renewal term to the Lapeer County ISD, which shall notify the other member in accordance with this agreement. Notwithstanding such termination, certain conditions shall survive termination as provided in this agreement. The conclusion then, the original lights agreement served the participants very well. And in fact, the new agreement contains many of the same provisions. Certainly all of the key provisions of the original participants' ownership provisions. ISD is a fiscal agent and operator for the system. Differences of note are outlined in Article 2, additional definitions, Article 3, term of agreement, and Article 6, requirements for new members, and Article 11, services provided. The new agreement more accurately portrays the system as it functions today and is written in a manner so as to provide guidance well into the future. I know that was long. Thank you.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Wade,
I move the Board of Education approve the Lapeer Interactive Telecommunications Education System Consortium Agreement as presented, a copy of which to be marked Roman numeral 8B2 and attached to the official minutes of this meeting.
Support?
motion and support. Any discussion?
Ms. Smith?
Mr. Walton?
Ms. Vaughn, just to clarify, and once again, thanks to Mr. Zopp coming in a couple of
Yes,
months ago. I
he
believe,
did present to you a couple months ago. Yeah.
But just to clarify, this is an update on the agreement. There's no additional cost or anything for the district, as it was already established.
What was established is correct. Yeah. You're welcome.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
the sinking fund contractor proposal. The Board of Education approves contracts over a certain amount. Our general contractor, Roncelli, has provided a contract to complete projects using sinking fund dollars.
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Ray.
I move the Board of Education moves to award the concrete work to Roncelli Incorporated in accordance with its quote dated July 29th, 2024, subject to receipt of a contract in which, 1, the work is broken down into materials and labor, 2, the cost of materials does not exceed the statutory bid threshold, and 3, the work is completed on or before August 26, 2024, and also is awarded subject to Roncelli's provision of a performance and payment bond in an amount equal to 100% of the contract sum. Should Roncelli fail to provide said contract and performance and payment bond within 10 days of this board action, the award shall be null and void.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Mrs. Smith.
Ms. Fred.
I'll be honest, for myself, I went in at 3 a.m. looking for this and I did not see it, so I did not get a chance to review this. Normally we do a full reading of something before we make a final decision in a motion. So I think that I would personally like to see us bring this up in our next session. I'm just not comfortable at all, because I really didn't get an opportunity to go through it.
Ms. Smith?
Mr. St. Ange.
So I did review it. It was in our drive earlier today. So as I understand it, previously we had a bond attempt or a bond proposal that never made it through, and that was with Barton Mello. And yet we still contracted them to do our blue light system and spend safety money for that. So I know that there was some talk about, is it appropriate to have Roncelli awarded this contract while they may be the same contractor that would be handling our bond work, and I don't see it to be any different than that. So it's a contractor that we may be working with on another project, and it doesn't seem to be any different or didn't cause any issues the last time. So I don't see any reason to say that it's not appropriate, and I was able to review it earlier today.
And I will say, Ms. Fred, if I could just say that this was, I want to make sure that the contract was reviewed by council. So that's why, as you can see by the motion that was read, I wanted to make sure these were all included in the motion. Because all of this needs to be making sure that we're, dotting our i's, crossing our t's. We want to make sure that everything's in step here legally for the district to sign. So I wanted it to be reviewed by legal. So it did take some extra time. I wanted to take those extra steps.
Mrs. Smith, I do understand that. And yet, again, as I said, I woke up at 3 o'clock in the morning and I was looking through the drive, couldn't find anything. And then I've been busy myself all day. Normally we don't look at something without some time in between before we make an actual decision. And in regard to the Barton Mallow, there never was a bond that happened with the Barton Mallow. The money that was spent and contracted with them was through our safety dollars that we spent. So that was something that was separate. It was not from the sinking fund. And I think just hearing, I was not aware that people were communicating in town regarding the sinking fund and how the dollars were. So this evening is the first time that I'm hearing anything in regard to that. And it is something that I think that we should put some thought into before we move forward. That's just my suggestion.
And I guess I just want to say, I'm a little confused regarding sinking fund because I'm, a lot of pressure to spend sinking fund dollars, and we're doing that or making steps to do that. I'm confused on the mixed messages I'm getting from my office. A lot of pressure to spend sinking fund dollars, trying to do it in the right way, trying to do it in the legal way, and I feel like a little bit of I'm getting a mixed message. It's just frustrating from my seat. So just wanted to share that with you, with the community. I'm frustrated. We're trying to take steps to spend the money in a responsible way. I feel like we're taking the steps to do that, but I'm getting a mixed message tonight.
Mr. Walton.
So just to clarify this, in the past with sinking fund projects, they've been done internally. It would be, the administration would seek out the different businesses to get the quotes as we normally request, at least to get 3 competitive bids, and then work that project that way. So in light of that, as much as this safety sidewalk needs to be done, my personal opinion would be that we table this until we can have 3 competitive bids, at least have a good opportunity to make sure that this concrete work can be evaluated properly. And it's not to not use the dollars, it's to use them responsibly and to get the work done. I mean, we can talk a lot more about how some other projects were run, but I think this one is a pretty simple one. Looking at the contract just briefly, there does seem to be a lot of overhead costs there, which I don't think that is necessary.
Mr. Walton, are you asking then that this be postponed to the next agenda?
Yeah.
If you are, you'll have
yes.
to make a motion for that.
Yep. Ms. Smith, I would move to table this until the next board meeting.
We have to.
Mr. Smith, I think we've already got a motion.
You can, no, if he makes the motion to do that, then that one's null and void.
Support the table.
No, is there support for that?
Support.
Okay. Motion and support. Any discussion?
Mrs. Smith.
Mr. Ray?
I would, again, we, right along with this rule, we have, I believe it's, I don't know if it's policy or best practice that for over a certain amount, we get the three bids. That's my.
I know that 2 bids came in, so it was that third one, but under the CM umbrella and per our discussion from last time, that's what we were trying to push through. So if we're looking for.
Again, from our general prospect of moving forward, making sure that we have our due diligence done of is there a lower cost that we could, and a company that is just as competent. We don't know that with the 2, so that's my reckoning of how we should move forward.
Any other discussions? Motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
We're moving on to personnel. Resignations, retirements. The Board of Education may agree to a resignation, retirement at any time after replacement suitable to the school administration and the board is obtained, provided that the circumstances underlying the resignation or retirement are valid in the opinion of the board and warrant a search for replacement. Ms. Allison Sample has resigned from her position as a special education paraprofessional at Orchard Primary to take a position within the ISD. Mrs. Amanda Nichols has resigned from her position as behavior specialist at Orchard Primary to take a position in another district. Discussed and recommended by committee, 3-0.
Ms. Smith,
Yeah.
I move the Board of Education accept the resignation of Allison Sample and Amanda Nichols and wish them well in their future endeavors.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Approval of personnel. The Board of Education approves all personnel new hires. Ms. Abigail Cheney will be a new special education paraprofessional at Orchard Primary. Ms. Cheney is a recent graduate of Almont High School and was part of the LINKS program. Mrs. Elizabeth Mulak will be the new 4th grade paraeducator at Almont Middle School. Mrs. Mulak has held multiple support positions in the district, and Ms. Lewis is excited for Mrs. Mulak to join the AMS staff. Mrs. Lori Madonna has been recommended for the position of paraprofessional in the 6th and 7th grade resource room at Almont Middle School. Mrs. Madonna holds a Bachelor of Science degree in education and served as a 3rd grade teacher in Utica Community Schools. Ms. Elizabeth Levis has been recommended for the position of MOSI teacher at Almont High School. Ms. Levis comes to us with several years of experience teaching in a similar classroom. Ms. Levis also volunteers with Special Olympics. We're very excited to welcome her to the district. Mrs. Kristen Affelt has been selected as the MOSI teacher at Orchard Primary. Mrs. Affelt has spent time as a paraprofessional for our special education students at Orchard Primary and holds her teaching degree. Mrs. Danielle Kamari. Kamari has been recommended as our new ELA teacher at Almont High School. Not only is Mrs. Kamari an Almont grad, she also comes to us with several years of experience as both an ELA teacher, an AP teacher, and an extensive experience working, and has extensive experience working with special education students. We are looking forward to having her rejoin our community. After many applications and interviews, I'm pleased to enthusiastically recommend Mr. Addison Spear as the principal of Almont High School. Mr. Spear comes to Almont High School with years of experience in both the classroom and administrative roles. He's bringing lots of fresh ideas, a collaborative approach, and excitement to his role. Gex hiring junior varsity softball coach. Discussed by Personnel Committee, recommended 3-0.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes, Mr. Zena.
I move that the Board of Education approve the above new hire recommendations and welcome them to the district.
Support?
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Ms. Smith,
Yes, Ms. Walsh.
is that Mr. Spear here?
Mr. Spear is here. I think we have a couple in the audience here with us tonight, so I'll have them come up and introduce themselves, if that's okay. Yeah, absolutely. After you do your,
Yeah.
you guys are good? After
We'll do that. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Why don't you guys come on up and introduce yourselves? I'd love to have the new staff meet the board. Just stand.
Hi, Joel.
Congratulations. Yeah.
Danielle.
Congratulations. I just, oh gosh, I'm like, why? Thank you for being here. Yeah. Congratulations again. You're welcome. Thank you. Can we get a picture all together if you don't mind with the board? If you don't mind, thank you. Oh, come on over to the front. You can come to the front. Can I just have you guys angle this way? Maybe you can angle my way if you don't mind. I'll get everybody here. No, it's okay. Yeah. Positive. All right, right here, everybody. Thank you. Perfect. Thank you so much.
Tim,
Nope,
you
no more.
go, you go.
Ready?
Welcome.
Thank you guys so much. And if you have, I know that some of you have young families and need to go back to families, so feel free. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations. We're excited to have you guys aboard. Seated? Okay, on to policy. The board adopts bylaws and policies for organization and operation of the board and district. Bylaws and policies may be adopted, amended, and repealed at any meeting of the board, provided the proposed adoption, amendment, or repeal shall have been proposed at a previous board meeting, and once proposed shall have remained on the agenda of each succeeding board meeting until approved or rejected. Bylaw 0131.1. The district's policy, video surveillance, and electronic monitoring, policy 7440.01, needs to be updated to reflect the current state of Michigan records management services outlines. Almont Community Schools currently stores recordings from the security cameras for 21 days. The state of Michigan requires 30 days minimum of storage. See documentation attached outlining the requirements in our current policy. Almont Community Schools should update policy 7440.01 to reflect the 30-day requirement and put this into practice. Legal counsel has been contacted.
Ms. Smith,
Mr. Walton.
I move the Board of Education approve the revision to policy 74.01, and will change the number of days recordings stored to 30 days.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Ms. Smith,
Mr. Ray? No, Mr. Walton. Sorry.
me. So, Ms. Fine, you said it's been reviewed with legal.
Yes.
So we are confirmed that 30 days is.
Yes, that is correct. Yeah.
And any thoughts about because that's kind of at our limit, right? Of what we have for storage space, is there going to be an
And I
impact?
think that's on our tech director's radar. Yeah. Thank you.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Excellent. From time to time, the Board of Education may wish to commemorate a school or district facility, a gym, swimming pool, athletic field, etc., by means of a plaque naming the facility after a person or some other honor. Such commemoration should be reserved only for those individuals who have made a significant contribution to the enhancement of education generally, or the district in particular, or to the well-being of the district, community, state, or nation. Policy 7250. Any employee of the district thus honored must be deceased or no longer employed by the district prior to the board selection of his or her name for commemoration honor. The district would like to commemorate the former superintendent and longtime employee of the district, Steve Zapp, by naming the service drive in his honor. Discussed and recommended by committee 3-0.
Ms. Smith,
Mr. Walton,
move the Board of Education approve the naming of the service drive in honor of Steve Zapp.
Support.
motion and support. Any discussion?
Mrs. Smith,
Mr. Ray?
as he was my principal and then superintendent, I'd like to throw out the idea that we throw in a picture. And if we go up to SVSU, their Hall of Fame, it's from the late 70s, early 80s. His floppy hair, his mustache, I think would be a great addition to that,
To the sign
to the
itself.
sign itself.
I love that idea.
That sounds good to me.
I don't know if that can happen, but we'll
wanna
start with the Zapp Drive sign.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
The board adopts bylaws and policies for organization and operation of the board and district. Bylaws and policies may be adopted, amended, and repealed at any meeting of the board, provided the proposed adoption, amendment, or repeal shall have been proposed at a previous board meeting, and once proposed, shall have remained on the agenda of each succeeding board meeting until approved or rejected. Bylaw 0131.1. The district's policy service, Neola, has provided the following new Title IX regulations. This is the first read. In order to be compliant with state mandates, the board can pass a temporary approval until the second read in August. The policy was in your drive. Bylaws and policies, policy 2264, non-discrimination on the basis of sex and education programs or activities.
Mrs. Smith,
Yes, Mr. Walton.
I move the Board of Education pass a resolution to adopt policy 2264, effective August 1st, 2024, to be adopted at the next special or regular meeting of the Board of Education, per bylaw 0131.1.
Support.
Motion and support. Any discussion?
Ms. Smith, can we have this on the agenda for the work session?
Yes.
So we can have some active discussion?
Yes.
So we need to do roll call vote then on this one? Okay,
But even like the very next thing, so the training comes first. It has to be on training.
okay.
So actually, yeah, so it'll be August 6th at our next our MASC training.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, August 6th.
Okay, so Mr. Walton will do a roll call vote?
Mr. Wade,
Aye.
Mr. Batani, absent. Ms. Frederickson,
Aye.
Mr. St. Ange,
Aye.
Mr. Rozay, absent. Mr. Walton, aye. Ms. Smith,
Aye. Everything clear?
That is all from me.
Okay. That brings us to our second comment from the audience. This can be for anything, does not have to pertain to the agenda. There's a 3-minute timer. Please come to the podium, introduce yourself.
Paul Bowman. As far as the concrete work is concerned, I'm hoping that the bids that you have are from, hopefully there's some local contractors have been given a chance to do that. When we at the township did our 1,000-foot non-motorized pathway along Kidder Road, we were able to use local contractors, and they did a very good job for us. So we've got a lot of, few concrete people in town, and hopefully we can use them and not go out of town to take care of this. I think that would really go a long ways with the residents as well, using local folks. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else like to be recognized? Okay. Questions and comments from the Board of Education? Ms. Fred?
I was wondering, this would be to Ms. Fun. With our 8th grade last year, not quite having that warm welcome, is there something special maybe that can be done for the 9th grade this year to give them a warm welcome because they actually do become the high schoolers this year? If maybe that could be done, maybe that could be discussed.
Well, definitely some kudos here to Mrs. Berkland, and I think Mr. Spear here, our new high school principal, have been chatting, and so definitely want to kick this off to the right start. So having a 9th grade, a 9th grade parent orientation, although they already had one kind of last year, it'd be nice to kind of kick that off in a 9th grade year. So we're going to set a date for a 9th grade parent-student orientation, obviously new principal, just kind of setting the tone for that year. So definitely on the radar. And then, of course, all of the things that I've shared with you as far as plans for incoming 8th graders for the high school, that will be different this year. It will be different and it will be improved.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Ms. Smith?
Mr. St.
For Ms. Bond, so about 2 months ago, I think we discussed how 8th grade didn't go real well this year, and same with 4th grade. And we mentioned that it might be nicer, we discussed anyway, maybe seeing something written down as to what the plan was going to be moving forward, like an outline of this is what's going to change, or this.
Correct. So my idea for the 8th grade, coming in, for example, an 8th grade class advisor, so having an outline and think, like activities that are planned for the school year.
Okay.
Will be shared. Again, I'm suggesting if she's going to be the class advisor, but I will be watching because I want it to go a lot better than it did last year. So
Okay.
I definitely will be in contact. And I believe we already have a staff member, a new staff member who's willing to take on that 8th grade class sponsorship.
Okay.
So we're good hands there.
And you think that's something that might be ready before school starts?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Mr. St. Andre, you're asking for actual written outline from Ms.
Yeah,
Bond,
that's what
or-
that's what I mentioned.
Oh, are you
I asked
saying,
about
I'm sorry, are you
before.
talking about like a written outline?
Yeah, well,
So,
because
yeah.
the idea was to say, yes, we know this was wrong, we know this was wrong, but
Yeah.
what specifically are we changing? What are we
Okay,
going
well,
to do to attack?
we know, right, our teachers are contracted to come back, but they are involved with like PD days, but I will take that opportunity to connect with the teacher who said she was interested and get that going, right, as soon as possible. So basically, we have that just short week of August, right, where they come back half days, but really kicking it off in September, having those class meetings with the 8th grade, setting up those meetings so we could set that schedule. So in September, absolutely. We just need a little time for the communication.
Thank
And also, we want the student feedback too, right? Some input there so that we know what kind of activities to schedule for them.
Sure. And that'll be a fun challenge for Mr. Spear too.
Yep.
So last year was the first year we brought 8th grade up, and, it had to happen in kind of a rush. So it was growing pains. So now it's a matter of making sure we get everything ironed
Yeah.
out.
Right.
So what were you looking for as far as 4th grade? The same thing?
Same thing. Well, because there were some activities that 4th graders might not have participated in with the rest of middle school or with the rest of the elementary school. Field day activities, different types of activities where are they still considered elementary or are they middle school? And the same thing happened with the 8th graders. They couldn't do some 9th grade activities or high school activities, but they also couldn't do middle school activities.
Sure.
So that was the issue, was to say, where are we defining them as? And let's make sure they are included in those activities.
It sounds like you're saying we'll have an update in September.
Yeah, I think so too, because again, we want that feedback from, our staff, our students. We want the buy-in there, but I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay.
Yes. Yep. And we're on it. Thank you.
Any other Board of Education comments? I welcome you, Mr. Addison, and we're very excited. We've heard a lot about you. So good luck in the year, and thank you for joining us. Anybody else who is still here that's new, thank you. If I had any future agenda items? Okay,
Ms. Smith,
Mr. Walton,
I move that the July 29th, 2024 regular board meeting be adjourned at 8:04 PM.
motion and support. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you all for coming.